You felt it. That punch of anger when someone disrespects you. That wave of anxiety before a decision. That spiral of regret, shame, or comparison that hijacks your entire day. It's not that emotions are bad. They're human. But when they control you, they trap you. And here's the wild part. This isn't a modern problem. Over 2,000 years ago, a group of thinkers, the Stoics, saw these same emotional traps for what they really are, mental illusions. They weren't motivational speakers. They were psychologists of the soul. And while we drown today in emotional overload, news, social media, arguments, overthinking, rage bait, the Stoics were teaching a different path. Master the mind, and emotions cannot enslave you. They didn't kill emotion. They transformed it. They turned pain into purpose, fear into clarity, anger into calm. And they did it with one thing: understanding. This is ancient psychology explained, not with clinical jargon, but with the raw clarity that Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca lived and died for. In this video, you're going to learn exactly how Stoics outsmarted emotional traps, and how you can apply these forgotten tactics to your modern life. No therapy session required. Number 10 step routine. Just truth, sharpened through centuries. Because here's the truth nobody tells you. Emotional suffering isn't always about trauma or weakness. Sometimes, it's just mental habits, illusions you never questioned. And once you see them clearly, they lose power. You stop getting manipulated. You stop being reactive. And you start becoming unshakable. The Stoics weren't cold. They felt everything. But they refused to be ruled by anything. And once you understand their tools, their philosophy, their logic, their mental exercises, you'll realize you don't need to escape emotion. You need to understand it. Because once you understand how emotion works, how it tricks you, controls you, hijacks your day, you take the first step towards something rare: emotional freedom. Let's dive in. The nature of emotional traps. Let's start with something simple. What is an emotional trap? It's a mental reflex. It's when your emotions override your reason, often instantly, and drive you to act in ways that hurt you later. It's when a small insult ruins your whole day. It's when fear stops you from taking a risk. It's when shame makes you isolate. It's when anger pushes you to say what can't be unsaid. And it's not your fault. Emotional traps are ancient mechanisms, survival instincts that once helped us respond fast to danger. But in today's world, where danger is often social, imagined, or emotional, these instincts misfire. Constantly. The Stoics saw this before neuroscience could explain it. They said, "You don't suffer because of events. You suffer because of your judgments about events." That's Epictetus. And that one idea shatters everything we assume about emotion. Think about it. A rude comment? Not pain, just sound. A rejection? Not failure, just interpretation. A setback? Not suffering, just context. What hurts isn't what happened. It's what you think it means. And once that thought sticks, it shapes your entire emotional state. The Stoics called this the prohairesis, your power to interpret, to choose your response, to separate what's in your control from what's not. They believe that emotions aren't random. They're trained responses to how you see the world. And that means they can be retrained. The emotional trap isn't just feeling. It's believing your feelings are truth. Modern psychology backs this. Cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the most effective therapeutic approaches, is based on the same core Stoic idea. Change your thoughts, and you change your feelings. But the Stoics took it deeper. They didn't just reframe thoughts. They dismantled illusions at the root. So what are the most common emotional traps? Anger. The illusion that someone else's behavior controls your peace. Fear. The illusion that imagined pain is real pain. Shame. the illusion that you are your past. Jealousy, the illusion that someone else's success subtracts from yours. Regret, the illusion that the past can be changed through suffering. The Stoics trained themselves to pause before the emotional reflex, to challenge it, to ask, is this real, or is this a story I'm telling myself? That's not suppression. That's power. Suppression ignores the emotion. Stoicism interrogates it. When you're caught in an emotional trap, your thinking narrows. Your breath shortens. Your options shrink. But when you challenge the illusion, when you use reason, your mind expands again. You see clearly. You feel without being ruled. The Stoics weren't anti-emotion. They were anti-delusion. Ancient mental tactics the Stoics used. Now that you know the trap, let's talk tactics. The Stoics didn't just talk philosophy. They practiced it daily. And their practices were psychological weapons designed to defend the mind from emotional chaos. Let's break down their tools. 1. Premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evil. This isn't negative thinking. It's strategic emotional armor. Every morning, Stoics imagined what could go wrong. Not to dwell, but to prepare. Today, I might be insulted. Someone may betray me. I may fail. They weren't catastrophizing. They were building mental resistance. By imagining difficulty in advance, they inoculated their emotions. They trained themselves not to be surprised. And when you remove surprise, you remove overreaction. 2. Dichotomy of control. A Stoic doesn't waste energy on what they can't control. Why be angry at weather? Why panic over markets? Why spiral over someone's opinion? They drew a hard line. Inside my control. Thoughts, choices, actions, values. Outside my control. Everything else. Every time you remember this, you weaken the emotional trap. You stop trying to control the uncontrollable. And you regain power where it counts. 3. Journaling as a weapon. Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations for us. He wrote them to himself. Every day, he reflected on what triggered him, what he feared, what values he had failed to live by. That's not weakness, that's self-mastery. Journaling was how the Stoics caught emotional traps in writing, so they could dissolve them in logic. Try this. Next time you feel overwhelmed, write, what am I feeling? What event caused it? What meaning am I assigning to that event? What would Marcus say about this? You'll see the illusion. And when you see the illusion, you're free. 4. The view from above. This was a Stoic meditation on scale. Imagine zooming out of your life. See your home from above. Then your city. Then your country. Then Earth. Then stars. Suddenly, your fear of looking foolish in a meeting seems small. Because it is. The Stoics use this not to feel meaningless, but to gain perspective. Emotional traps shrink in scale. When your perspective expands, your pain loses its grip. Applying Stoic psychology in modern life. Stoic wisdom isn't meant to live in books. It's designed to be used, tested in the messiness of modern life. While ancient Stoics walked through Roman marketplaces and sat in marble halls, you're navigating inboxes, algorithms, crowded streets, and information overload. But here's the surprising part. The core problems are the same: ego, fear, desire, comparison, overreaction. Stoicism wasn't built for monks in caves. It was built for people in chaos. And that makes it perfectly suited to the 21st century. Mobile phone social media overload. Every swipe of your phone is a hit of emotion. Someone's highlight reel triggers your insecurity. Someone else's opinion ignites your anger. And before you've taken your first sip of coffee, you're emotionally hijacked. The Stoic fix? Voluntary withdrawal. Epictetus taught that external things, including people's praise and criticism, are indifferent. What matters is what you do with them. Try this. Before you open an app, ask, why am I doing this? What am I hoping to feel? And when you feel triggered, zoom out. This is someone else's curated version of reality. Your value isn't found in their feed. Stoicism trains you to return to inner judgment, not outer validation. Repeat button rumination and overthinking. How often do you relive past conversations, mistakes, regrets? Your body sits still, but your mind is in a loop. The Stoics called this wasted motion, suffering twice over something that's already finished. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality. The antidote is presence. Train yourself to say, that moment is gone. Only this one is mine." Bring attention back to the now. Your breath, your task, your senses. Stoicism teaches you to live in the present moment with full attention, because the future is unwritten and the past is untouchable. Person standing comparison culture. Modern life constantly throws other success in your face. Wealth, looks, followers, lifestyles. The result? Quiet resentment. The feeling that you're behind, that you're not enough. But Marcus Aurelius warned against this very thing. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If your thoughts are envy, your soul becomes bitter. Stoicism gives you a counterpunch. Amor fati, love your fate. You are on your path. Their success isn't your failure. Your timeline is not their timeline. The more you focus on your own discipline, the less you'll care about external illusions. And when you see clearly, envy dies. Briefcase workplace pressure and ambition. You want to succeed, to build, to rise. That's not bad, but ambition unchecked by wisdom becomes a trap. You burn out. You chase titles. You seek approval. You lose your why. The Stoics never opposed ambition. They just demanded it be tied to virtue, not ego. Ask yourself, is what I'm building aligned with who I want to be? Am I working from fear or from purpose? Seneca said, "No wind is favorable to the sailor who doesn't know where he's going." Define your personal version of success. Don't let the world define it for you. Then pursue it calmly, without desperation. Broken heart, emotional setbacks, and personal loss. Life will hit hard. Breakups, betrayal, grief, setbacks. And when it does, Stoicism doesn't ask you to fake positivity. It asks you to meet pain with clarity, to feel without drowning. The Stoics practiced voluntary hardship, fasting, cold exposure, rejection exercises, not to suffer, but to prepare the mind, so that when real pain came, they weren't shocked. You can do this too. Sit with discomfort. Write about it. Breathe through it. Ask, what is this teaching me? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily. It's not things that upset us. It's our judgment about them. Pain may be unavoidable, but suffering is always layered by perception. And that means healing starts with how you frame the pain. Puzzle piece when you lose direction or motivation. You wake up some days feeling lost. No spark. No fire. Just fatigue and fog. The Stoics had those days too. But they had a practice. Remember who you are. Marcus would write each morning. You are here to do the work of a human being. Not to impress. Not to chase. But to act with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. That's the Stoic version of motivation. Not a hype speech, but a quiet reminder. You were built for this. These moments, the scroll, the spiral, the stress, they are not signs of weakness. They are invitations to practice Stoicism. To pause. To reflect. To ask, what would Epictetus do here? What would Marcus remind me? The world won't stop being emotional, but your relationship with emotion can evolve. And that shift, when practiced consistently, becomes the armor that shields you from chaos. and the compass that leads you forward. Okay, now let's bring it home. How do you actually apply all this in real life? You're not living in ancient Rome. You're living in a fast, loud, emotional world. But the principles still work, because human nature hasn't changed. Only the distractions have. Let's walk through modern scenarios. Speech balloon conflict. Someone insults you online. Your instinct? Clap back. Feel offended. Rage scroll. Stop. Ask. Is their opinion within my control? No. Is this worth my peace? No. Can I choose my response? Yes. Now you're free. That's Stoicism in action. Brain anxiety. You're spiraling about a future decision. Your brain plays disaster movie after disaster movie. Pause. Write it down. What's the worst case? What's real versus imagined? What's in your control? Suddenly, clarity returns. You're grounded again. Handshake relationships. Someone ghosts you, betrays you, disappoints you. Epictetus reminds you. They are acting on their values, not yours. Your job is to act on yours. You can feel the sadness, but don't become the sadness. Don't let it decide who you are. Person in Lotus Position Section 5. Conclusion plus call to action, 400 words. You don't need to escape emotion. You need to understand it. You don't need to be cold. You need to be clear. The Stoics weren't robots. They were warriors of the mind. And they trained daily to free themselves from emotional traps that enslave most of the world. Today, we drown in noise. Panic goes viral. Outrage is monetized. Every emotion is amplified, and reason is lost. But you can opt out. You can become the rare one who stays centered, who doesn't overreact, who thinks before they feel, and feels without being ruled. This isn't ancient philosophy. This is ancient psychology, and it works now more than ever. So here's what you do. Read the Stoics. Start with one sentence a day. Journal your reactions. Ask, what story am I believing? Zoom out when the world feels overwhelming. Say this often. This is not in my control, but my response is. That's how you outsmart the trap. That's how you lead your emotions instead of following them. If this video gave you clarity, share it with someone stuck in the loop. Someone who confuses emotion with truth. Help them see through it, like the Stoics would have. And subscribe if you want more than motivation, if you want mental armor. Because when you master your emotions, you don't just survive life. You become unshakable.